It's Saturday
Good
night.
evening on a Tuesday evening. It's still broad daylight outside, which is very
Yep.
unfortunate. But anyway, Abnormal Alabama is Kevin Kane, Catherine Marie, and myself. We are all here tonight, and Kevin has some big stories to share with you from his trip to Memphis, Tennessee. And no, he did not have an Elvis sighting, but he had some other sightings, something to do with Halloween 3, I think. And he had a very interesting EVP session, I believe, in the was it a Hampton or what?
The Hilton, the Memphis Hilton, Memphis.
Memphis Hilton, and who knows? Maybe Elvis's spirit came through in that room. I don't have a clue, but we'll find out if you stay tuned. Maybe we'll hear something like "Thank you very much." Thank you very much. So he's got a lot to share that'll probably take up the good first hour or so of the show. Easy, I guess, huh?
Yeah, probably, because that video is about 30 minutes.
And if there's any time left, we're going to talk about some animal omens.
30 minutes.
You know, you've always heard that if a black cat crosses your path, it's bad luck. But there's a lot more bad omens coming from those wild beasts. So I'm going to back out of here and let you have your party.
Okay.
Bad omens coming from those wild beasts. So I'm going to party.
We're getting everything shared out, guys. Saying our hellos.
Yeah, I'm sharing here. All right. I'll go ahead and get this on some of the groups before I start yapping about, or I start showing the video. But I did go to Memphis this weekend. Friday morning, I left out and drove it's not bad. It's 3.5 hour drive, a little more than that. 3 hours and 45 minutes. It didn't seem like it, but we had a convention, the Joe Bob's Drive-In Jamboree. Joe Bob Briggs, if you have a Shudder subscription, you probably heard of him, or if you remember the Monster Vision on TNT back in the 90s, or even his show on the movie channel in the 80s, where he was like kind of a male version of Elvira, but he dressed up like a cowboy, and he hosted these movies. He'd come in and do breaks, like on TNT when they would go to commercial. He would have a segment where he'd come in and talk a little bit about the movie you were just watching, and trivia, jokes, make you laugh. And now today he's on Shudder. They brought him back out of retirement. They brought him back 4 years ago, I think, and now he's still on there. He's about to go into season 5 of Shudder's The Last Drive-In, Joe Bob Briggs. So, but this was at the Memphis Hilton, and supposedly, I've been there 4 or 5 times prior, before the pandemic, and Taps from Memphis. Taps, you probably heard of them. The show Ghost Hunters. That's the main Taps group on that show. Well, they've got branches all over the country, and Taps Memphis, who've guested on that show before. I've worked with them a little bit when I've done the conventions up there. They used to do. They don't do them anymore. Not that particular one. So I went on some investigations with them, and they talked about a few of the ghost stories, which I'm going to mention in the video. I'll save it for that. But there are supposedly some ghost stories with that hotel, even though it does not look like an old hotel. I think it's been there 20, 30 years. The big, tall, skyscraper-looking, beautiful glass building. And but I did have a great time.
Asking your question there, Kevin.
Oh, okay. I was sharing. So, how are folks tonight? What question? Oh, if the dolls are haunted by souls, shouldn't they be sent to the light? When they're ready, we can send them. I mean, it's really up to them. So you can't, just like you don't want to be forced to do something. A spirit doesn't really want to be forced to do something. They're human, And of course, non-human ones, go without saying, they're going to do what they want to do. But yeah, I've helped a few crops before, but I believe they're just here. They can kind of come and go as they please. I believe other people have different beliefs, but I think they can come and go as they please. And if they need help, I have helped a few, but I don't keep mine trapped in the dolls. They're not stuck in the dolls. They're freely just about hanging around. So, but let me go ahead. I'm going to share the video. Let me go ahead and. I'm great. How are you, Catherine?
I'm good. It's good seeing
I'm
you guys out tonight and enjoying us.
going to go ahead and share the video as well. Let me see. I didn't finish sharing. I was answering that question. So let me go ahead and share this on Creepy Dolls. And my page. And I'm going to go ahead and get the video started. What I did, I was lucky because I got to stay in the room, one of the rooms on the third floor, and that is the main lobby floor. So there was a line of people. There's, I think, 20, 30 floors in that building of rooms. It's tall. And there was a line to the elevator. That many people were checking in for not only the convention we had, but there was also a beauty pageant going on this past weekend there. So they had too much schedule there, and they were booked up the whole weekend. So if you were just a traveler coming through, you weren't going to be staying there unless you were already had a reservation.
I'd have kicked you out of your bed.
Kick me out of my bed. But the room was very nice. They've done some remodeling since I was there back in, I guess, 2017 was my last visit there. They've done some remodeling. I didn't see her. Well, the last night there, I heard a loud bang, and like it came from my bathroom, but there was nothing in there. Other than that, I didn't see or hear anything spooky. Didn't feel anything scary. But this video I'm about to share right now has some interesting. Let me see here. Share my screen. It has some interesting responses on the spirit box. So here we go. And I hope y'all can hear this. Is it? There we go. All righty. Can y'all hear that? There we go.
Memphis Hilton. Located not far from downtown Memphis. Of course, this is the home of Elvis Presley, Graceland, but we're not here this weekend for Elvis. We were here for Joe Bob and the Drive-In Jamboree, where we had some celebrity guests and a fan convention. I'm trying to open this up so you can see the autograph of Joe Bob and Darcy the Mail Girl. If you're on Shudder, you probably have heard of The Last Drive-In. So I got to hang out with them for a little bit and watch a movie jamboree that he did at the Malco Drive-In Theater here this weekend. It's our last night here. I didn't want to leave without doing some sort of video to see if we can capture any paranormal evidence. And just in case we need a little help with that, I brought out Haunted Doll Morgan, who came in her lovely tote bag with me here. So I got her over there all comfy where she was Friday evening when I took that picture and shared it on the Facebook page. Figured we'd make her comfy over there. And it's not quite midnight yet. Let me zoom back out here. This is a fairly nice, whoa, sorry about that. Fairly nice room we have here. Saw the desk and the huge TV over here. And very comfortable king-size bed. Nice little hallway over here. Going to the exit door there. And the bathroom. Which I'm sure I don't want to... Normally I wouldn't show the bathroom, but this is a pretty good sized bathroom for a hotel room. And one of those showers looks like something out of Friday the 13th, like there's going to be fingers curling out around the curtain any minute now as a hand pulls it back and the killer appears out. Okay, I watched too many horror movies. Which is what we did here this weekend at the Drive-In Jamboree. But according to some tales that I heard several years ago when I first came to Memphis and stayed here at the Hilton, this hotel itself has a couple of ghost stories. And before I continue, some of y'all are probably going to notice the curtain moving over here. That is not a ghost, although I wish that it was. That'd be really cool. That is actually air coming from the air conditioner. Right there, the unit where the air comes out. And it's blowing over on the curtains. It's been doing that all day and all evening. It is 101 degrees, or was 101 degrees out there. It's dropped down to, I think, the low 80s right now. But it has been a hot weekend. So back to the ghost stories. There are tales. Number one, outside my room, I don't think you can see it. Well, yeah, there's some light that wraps around the building. You can see the water out there. I don't want to open this too much because I'm in my jammies. But there was a little tale they conjured up there called The Lady in the Lake that I think Taps made up when they used to do ghost hunts here. That a lady supposedly fell in down there and drowned, and that her ghost has been seen walking on the water. But they told me they made that up for a Halloween ghost hunt here. Although sometimes legends come from true stories, so you never know. The other story that people say is true, although I don't know if there's any documentation of it, is that I'm not sure how long this building's been here. It's been here for a while, but in the early days of the hotel, after it was built, one of the employees here, I don't know if it was someone working on the building or maintenance or one of the hotel staff, but supposedly one of them fell down the elevator shaft and was killed, and his ghost has been seen on the elevators. He's been seen in the halls. I'm not going to go out there and just... There's a lot of guests here this weekend, so I'm not going out there in the hallway. But some people have had creepy activity in their rooms, like the feeling of someone there watching them. And sometimes the feel of the bed, like someone had sat down next to them. So I don't think we need to leave the room. And there's no particular room. This could be anywhere in the hotel. And there's like, this is like a tall skyscraper building. I think there might be 30 floors in this building. It's a big hotel with a lot of guests. It was packed this weekend, not only with our drive-in jamboree convention, but with a beauty pageant that was here. There were children all over. Last night it was too rowdy. I was not about to do a video. Tonight it's a lot quieter. So what I'm going to do now is switch over to the ghost tube for the rest of this video. And let's see if we capture any EVPs. Waste. Okay, I don't know if you caught that, but a voice said, "Oh, waste," right when I was cutting the video on. What is a waste? Are you the employee who fell in the elevator shaft? Are you a spirit here at the Hilton? Just heard a noise behind me and that deep voice. I'm not sure what that was. Is there someone outside my door? Did you say not or knock? If you're outside there, can you please knock on the door? It's almost like there's a shadow down there, but I don't think that's somebody. I noticed that earlier, but when I look out, there's nobody there. Who is outside the door?
Is there something moving under that door, Kevin?
Child
Yeah.
laugh.
It looks like
But
it.
there are voices outside there. Those are guests. So I don't want y'all to think I'm getting ghosts outside the door. Somebody just walked into the elevator area out there, and it is a person. They are talking. So I don't want to contaminate the video. Is there anyone in the bathroom? Okay, I heard the guests move away out there. Those were people because I recognize the voices. I just want y'all to see there's nobody out there. These doors are magnetized now, so they're pretty hard to open and close. Hello, my name's Kevin. What's your name?
Your minimums in.
Are you a guest here at the hotel? Emily? Is that your name? Are you the lady in the lake? Or the lady of the lake, I think is what they called her. Do you like the water out there? Somewhere behind me, I heard a
It's
couple of
comfy.
taps. It sounds like it was outside somewhere, coming from down the hallway. Not this hallway, but outside, somewhere off out there. Emily, are you still here? Emily, did you fall in that little lake outside? Okay, that was a child, definitely. Is that the child I just heard? Is that Emily? That wasn't you, was it, Morgan? I think your spirit. Morgan's a little bit older. That sounded like a really little girl. And there have been a lot of children at this hotel, so that may have stirred up some activity. They had America's Best Beauty Pageant on the other end of the hall from our convention. A lot of girls from toddler all the way up to teen, or like early teens, like 12, 13, 14-year-olds, and their parents out here. Did you watch the pageant going on downstairs? Did you enjoy watching the little girls in their dresses? Playing dress up down there?
Brave decision.
It sounded like brave decision, if I heard that correctly. Yeah, it was a brave decision to have two big major events at one time in this hotel. It was packed. I mean, like I said, there's I think 30 floors in this building, and every room was booked. They've got multiple elevators, yet there was a line of guests Friday evening checking in, just waiting for the elevator. They were having to go in groups into the elevator. And lucky for me, I've got a room on the third floor where the main lobby is, so I got to walk straight past the elevators and come back here to my room. I did not have to use the elevators.
I was lucky.
And speaking of elevators, did someone die in the elevators here? Okay, I like that whisper just now. Is that you? Are you the man from the elevator? My name is Kevin. Please tell me your name. Okay, there was some sort of water noise coming from the... Yes, water. Are you referring to the Lady of the Lake?
It sounded to me like he said right now.
Right now?
Was there really a lady who fell in the lake and drowned? It's more like a big pond than a lake, although it does wrap around the building sort of like a lake. It's very pretty out there. It's got a fountain in the middle. There was a light out there, but there's the main little highway road out there. You're probably seeing headlights. But I just heard a woman's voice on this ghost box before I started speaking. Is that the Lady of the Lake? Do you like to watch over the children who swim in the pool down there next to the lake? I just heard a tapping noise, and it's weird. I didn't hear it in the room, but I heard it on the speaker here. That's bizarre. There were a lot of kids in that pool yesterday and today because there were a lot of children here over the weekend. This is Sunday night, so I don't leave until tomorrow morning because the convention went through tonight. The nighttime part of the convention was down the road, down the highway at the Malco Summer Drive-In. Have you ever been to the Malco? To the spirit or spirits here in the room with me, did you ever go to the Malco and watch a movie?
Capital One.
That sounds like a positive answer. That drive-in has been there for a long time. Sure, it was definitely around in the 50s, back when drive-ins were a big thing. In the 60s. They got great food down there, delicious hot dogs, pizza, cheeseburgers, hamburgers, popcorn. Firefighter. Were you a firefighter?
Maybe they were rescued by a firefighter. They rescued bodies.
Was it a firefighter?
That's why I just asked about the elevator. I thought maybe that had to do with the elevator tragedy.
I keep watching that mirror because you never know what might appear. Sometimes ghosts like to use mirrors. Morgan, are you? Oh, Morgan. Was that you, Morgan? Morgan, say hello to everybody.
Sustain.
It sounded like sustain.
I wish we could. It sounded like that said so stay. I wish we could stay, but we got to go home tomorrow. Since the convention is pretty much over now. Except for the people partying down at the drive-in. I've had as much as I could. Pretty much the celebrities have gone home, except the 2 or 3 that went down at the drive-in for tonight's show. Did you see all the celebrities who were here? Did you recognize any of them? We had Mr. Tom Atkins and Miss Stacy Nelkin and from Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And we showed their movie Friday night, and they sat there on stage commentating. And the director, Tommy Lee Wallace. And we had Kelly Maroney, Felissa Rose, Sybil Danning, Fred Williamson, PJ Souls. And several other people. Of course, these are people that were mostly known in the 70s and 80s.
The street.
Were you around during the 70s and 80s? Is there someone inside the room here in the hallway? My ankle just popped. heard, yeah. Can you make that bathroom door close, please? I left it open a little bit just for you, if you'd like to kind of push on it, make it go in or out.
Piano.
Channel. You know, channel some energy.
Turtle.
Turtle. Katrina. Who is Katrina?
Yes.
Who is Katrina? Goodness, there's a lot of talking. Who is Katrina? That's a closet there, in case anybody's wondering. This room is not connected with the one next door. Maybe you can move that chair. Make it spin around, maybe.
Create something.
It sounds like you might have used up your energy already. It sounds like you said if there was something. Well, that's okay. I can definitely hear you. Is there anything you'd like to tell us? And Morgan, I didn't want to take any attention from you. Do you want to say something? Have you had a good weekend, Morgan? Morgan.
The power.
The power? Morgan, is there anything you'd like to say? Are you ready to go home tomorrow? It's been a great weekend, all in all. And I'm so happy you came with me.
The full wind.
The full wind.
Streamline.
Morgan, are you okay? Sound like they just said your name. Sound like Morgan. Are you just kind of keeping to yourself, waiting on me? Oh, my stomach just growled. Well, it's past midnight, and I guess we need to get in the bed, so whoever's been here, looks like the door's still where it was there. And the chair still where it was, I think. So whoever has spoken to us, I thank you so much for being here with us. And I feel like there definitely are some spirits here. regardless of what their true story is. I thank you so much for allowing me to be a guest here in this beautiful hotel. I'm sure one day I'll be back. I've been here, 4 or 5 times now since 2014, I think, or 2015. Alrighty, folks, I'm sorry about that. Any spirits who don't belong here, I've turned the box off and closed the door. I accidentally did it, but I've turned that off and I'm closing the door. So if there are any spirits who don't belong here, please go back to where you belong. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Goodbye. And I'm going to say good night. Thank you all out there in my haunted dolls land. And we will be back in hopefully a couple of weeks to do a one-on-one with one of my dolls at home. Until then, happy hauntings and stay safe.
There we go. All righty. Oh,
That was
Kelsey's vamoosed.
Yeah, I don't think he's feeling too well.
Uh-oh. Well, I can go ahead and talk about I might as well, because there's a lot of photos and some video clips, so I'll just share those. But the convention went really well. And our hosts, which I'll throw the picture up here, Darcy, the mail girl, and Joe Bob Briggs, who signed this photo for me, did an amazing job putting this thing together. It was a convention. It wasn't a paranormal or anything like that. It was kind of a horror convention, but it was mainly for drive-in fans and fans of the last drive-in on Shudder. He had guests there who had been on before, on the show before, so you could meet them in person. I know they had Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp and Kelly Maroney from Night of the Comet. These are all 80s horror movies that I grew up knowing about. If you're a kid of the 80s, you probably remember the video rental stores. You'd see those video cassettes. I was always in the horror section, so I saw all these horror movies. In fact, and now we got Blu-ray and streaming, but I found an old 80s obscure horror movie, Madman,
Oh, fun.
on Blu-ray.
Is it any good?
This is a good movie. You can watch it. It is on Tubi, which Tubi that's that free streaming where you can watch movies, although there's little commercial breaks, but hey, it's free. But that movie, last time I checked, it is out there. But I wanted this Blu-ray because it's just chock full of special features and interviews that you're not going to get anywhere else. And it's the most, I think it's the 35th it's the 40th anniversary. And the main actress in the movie, who was Galen Ross from Dawn of the Dead, would not talk about this movie for a long time. I don't think she had a very good time filming it. And also it was not unionized, so actors had to use different names in this movie. So she probably just couldn't talk about it. But now, for the first time on this Blu-ray, she talks about it. And so that was cool to find that. But the main attraction was meeting the celebrities. And Joe Bob, I've been watching him since I was a little kid, and he did Monster Vision on TNT. It was on late Saturday nights, and I was a teenager, and if I wasn't working or doing something else, that's what I was doing, was working to get ready for college. So I didn't get to be home Saturday nights to watch him, so I videotaped. I tape recorded on VHS, so we were still using VCRs back then. And dang, I should have kept those. I just would tape over them, reuse them, but those are valuable right now.
I bet they are.
Now there are some some awesome fans have shared some Monster Vision episodes. What that was he would show a movie, and then he would come in at the commercial breaks like Elvira and talk about the movie. It was all horror and monster. And at that time, it was the 90s, so they were showing 80s and early 90s horror movies. And it was fun to hear about the trivia behind it because we didn't have IMDb where you could pull up trivia on the movie. So he would talk about it and interview some of the cast members. He would have them on the show. So it was great fun. And he did that until 2001 or 2002, and they canceled the show on TNT. And he kind of disappeared. And then Shudder brought him back for a marathon in 2017, I believe it was. He's been on, well, no, probably 2018, because he's been on about 4 years now. But that marathon, he did an all-night marathon where he showed these horror movies live on Shudder. And this guy was pushing 70, yet he stayed up all night live on this thing. That's how dedicated he is. He's a big authority on drive-ins and movies. So he they actually had so many, I don't know how many millions jumped on there, but to this day, even at the convention, they joke about we fans broke the internet that night on Shudder because so many people flocked into the live show, tuning in on their TVs and computers and phones, that it went down.
Oh, no.
But they still kept taping because they knew, well, we have to tape. Even though it's live, it will be archived, so we can't stop. Let's keep going. So a lot of us had to wait until the next day when it was archived and watch it pre-recorded, which was fine. I tried all night getting on. It would just kept scrolling, that little wheel of death that comes up, scrolling, saying, 1 moment, please, or whatever. And I couldn't get it up. The rest of Shudder was working, but that live feed was gone. So they mentioned that this weekend, the night they broke the internet. And
I remember watching it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Well, I say a kid, teen.
Yeah. But that just blew Joe Bob and them away because they realized that many people. He had said, nobody's going to tune in. They don't remember who I am. He had no idea that there were still fans out there that, I'm not watching let's see, what's on the comments? Oh, Emma's out there commenting. That sucks. She said, I guess she's talking about the live show crashing online. But they did archive it, but now it was so popular they started a show with it. It's Joe Bob's Last Drive-In. They just finished this year's season last Friday, the Friday before last. But he decided to do this jamboree in Memphis, Joe Bob's Drive-In Jamboree, and starting Friday night on to Sunday night. And what they did was at nighttime, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the event was at the drive-in, Malco, down the road from the hotel. And I bought a VIP because we got to go in early and get in front of the stage where he was going to be sitting because he was going to do it Shudder style. He and Darcy the Mail Girl would be on stage, and they would turn the lights down while the movie was playing on the screen. And every 15 minutes, they would do like they did on TV, do a break where they'd pause the movie and go back to the stage, bring up the lights, and Joe Bob would talk about it. And he would bring out his guest celebrities that were in the movie. And they did Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, a 40th anniversary party on Friday night. I went there. I got there at 5, put up my lawn chair. I was there until almost midnight. And it was 100 degrees. I took a portable little fan. And I had sunscreen. I kept myself going on the sunscreen until the sun was down. And then during the day, Saturday and Sunday at the hotel in the convention room, they had the convention set up with vendors selling the movies and, stuff that was drive-in related. That's all they had there. And the celebrities had tables. You can pay to get an autograph and a photo op. And I'm just going to share my screen on the photos and videos I took there, because it's that way I can kind of get a feel of what I got to enjoy. And I have all this on my Facebook page. Here, let me share my screen. All righty, let me get rid of that. So there's the stage, the way it looked, and back here was the movie screen they showed it on. So I got where I could be not only near the stage, but where I could see the screen too. Some people sat where I'm putting the cursor over this way, but you couldn't see the screen because the stage was blocking it. So I got where I could see both. I think I have the best seat. And then Joe Bob came out. Oh, come on. I hate when this thing starts running slow. All right, so Joe Bob came out. Oh, come on. There we go. Joe Bob came out with Darcy after the sun dipped down. They had musical guests there, not anybody really known, except Tim Capello showed up. I didn't know he was going to be there. He was in the Lost Boys and sang that song, I Still Believe, from the soundtrack. He performed it on stage there with his saxophone. So that was pretty cool. And they started the movie, and during the movie, I didn't video any of the movie, of course, I mean, copyright and all that, but I videoed a little bit of them talking on stage. My gosh, why is this doing this? And let's see, we got where Tom Atkins came out.
Are you here, Tom?
Uh-oh.
Oh, there you go. Oh, so Tom, you must be well acquainted with the by now with the Halloween 3 controversy. Are you
Am I what?
acquainted with the Halloween 3 controversy?
There is no Halloween 3 controversy. Halloween 3 is the most popular of the Halloween movies.
Tom? Tom, would you describe your character in this movie as an alcoholic skirt-chasing hero? An alcoholic skirt-chasing hero?
Yeah, I drank a lot during the movie, but I was a wonderful brain surgeon, trauma surgeon in the emergency room, and I did the best I could with Ellie's dad. But
what kind of doctor are you? I mean, it wasn't clear to me other than
trauma surgeon.
Okay, you're the only guy on duty at midnight at the community hospital. So.
But I was very fond of most of the nurses on the staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get down into the nitty-gritty of Halloween 3, I wanted to mention a few highlights of your career, because this audience is probably more familiar with your career than any other audience in the world that you will ever meet. So, you have worked in 7 decades, starting in 1968 with the Frank Sinatra film, The Detective. First of all, was Frank Sinatra nice to the young kid making his first movie?
Yes, he was. He was a wonderful guy. I went up there to the Sherry Netherland Hotel to audition for the role. And I walked in and I met the director, Gordon Douglas. And I said, am I going to read with you? And he said, wait a second. And he went over and knocked on the door, and Frank Sinatra walked in from the adjoining room. And I read with Frank Sinatra, and he said, good job, kid. At the end, tapped me on the shoulder. And Gordon Douglas said, well, you got the role.
Oh, okay. So Frank does his own casting.
He was a great guy.
Yeah.
All right. That was pretty cool to hear, because I've always heard Frank Sinatra had a pretty bad attitude toward people, so it's good to hear a positive story about Frank Sinatra. All right, got a few more video clips. So they brought out the leading lady, Stacey Nelkin, to talk. All righty. Oh, come on.
You were working when you got this part. You were working in A-list Hollywood world when this movie happened. I mean, you worked a lot with Woody Allen, and you were around the same time you're married to Barry Bostwick, and you were supposedly the inspiration for the movie Manhattan. So how did you end up in a fairly low budget horror flick?
Actually, thank you for having us on, first of all, Joe Bob, even though you're not a huge fan yet.
Why isn't
of the
he?
movie.
I know.
We'll sway him, right?
Yeah.
This is before I married Barry. I was up and coming. I think I was on the precipice at that time
Okay.
of things really happening. I had done. No, this is actually before I had a sequence of films that should have, could have, would have taken off.
Yeah.
So I was still not quite there yet. But thanks
Okay.
for thinking that I was.
Well, you had a lot of TV. You had a lot of strong TV credit.
All right, and then I think I have one more clip when they brought the director out. Why does this thing take so long to go back? All right, here he is.
Tommy Lee, come on out. Ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Wallace. Yeah, welcome. Have a seat there, by Stacy. Oh, Darcy, meet Tommy Lee Wallace, the creator of your dream movie. All right. First of all, was it hard to find somebody to play Connell Cochran?
You know, we were awfully lucky to wind up with Dan, but he was not the first choice. Try and envision, if you might, those of you who can remember back to the good old days. The first offer went out to Fred McMurray.
Fred McMurray. Wow.
And I think that would have been pretty tasty.
Does he do evil well? Did he do evil well?
Are you familiar with the films of Billy Wilder?
Yeah. Okay.
How about Double Indemnity?
You're right.
Does he do evil well?
Yeah.
Man, he did it to a T.
Okay.
I had no idea Fred McMurray had. So there's more trivia that you never would have known outside of hearing it from the lips of the filmmaker himself. Fred McMurray of My Three Sons went out for that part of Connell Cochran, the evil man from Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So that was all as far as video. I'll just go ahead and show the celebs and autographs here. There's Kelly Maroney from Night of the Comet, and she does a lot of horror conventions. And she also has a website. You can just go there to purchase autographs as well. And then there's the picture I got to Kevin. That's her line from the movie. Daddy would have got us Uzis. That was her line in that scene where she shot the Uzi gun. And then, of course, Stacy, who we just saw in the video, who was Halloween 3, and Tom, who's been in a lot of movies. And their autograph photo. That says, that's her line to Kevin. Where do you want to sleep, Dr. Chalice? That's a line from the movie. Of course, his famous "Stop It" that he screams at the end of the movie. So they're really good about their fans. Now here, I love this because this was the Mail Girl Q&A. You've got Darcy, who is the current Mail Girl on The Last Drive-In on Shudder. And right next to her is the original Honey the Mail Girl from TNT's Monster Vision. Now, what the mail girl would do, Honey, when they did the TNT show back in the 90s, there was still a lot of snail mail letters. That was before emails. So she would bring out during the show, she would be dressed in her little sexy mail girl postal service outfit and come out and bring him fan letters and read them to, or he would read them on the air there. course, now with Darcy, it's now email and Twitter. So she just, but every once in a while, somebody sends a little package to him in the mail. But that was cool to get to see the old and the new. And then there's where I first got to see Joe Bob. And Darcy was not there yet. That's where I got him to sign. And I got, I guess it's the other photo set. The next day, finally, Darcy showed up at the autograph table, and I was allowed to go back through the line since she was not there, and I was supposed to have both autographs. And I got her to sign the photo, and there she is posing with me. Very nice people, very nice. They're very appreciative of their fans, and of course, I showed that picture earlier. I accidentally uploaded that sideways. I think that's, and there's Honey. There's me posing with Honey, the original mail girl. And I think, and that's the back of her book that I bought from her. She signed, there was a photo on the back page, and she signed that for me. To Kevin, the mail girl always delivers. Love, Honey. She was gorgeous back then. Look at that, which she still is pretty dang gorgeous now, all these years later. And I believe that was it. Then I got home. I was gone 3 days, and I get home. And then found another celebrity here in my house who has been in my lap most of the time since I've been home. So I was very much missed, I guess, while I was gone for the weekend. I heard she was upset while I was gone. And so that's my stuff. So let me go ahead and go out. And we are at the top of the hour. I did it. I got us almost a whole hour. Oh, you're muted, Catherine. She must be talking to somebody else. So Kelsey's not back yet. I think he wanted to spend the rest of the time. Looks like Emma was calling. Yes, we remember you, Emma. Yeah, you remembered me. And you must have had fun. Yes, I had a lot of fun. Ran into some bumps afterwards because I forgot some things at the hotel that hopefully will be sent to me. If not, I'm going to do what I can to replace those. But I'm glad that y'all were here to watch those. I like sharing those. But there's the better angle of that photo from Darcy and Joe Bob. All right. Well, Kelsey's not back yet. I know he wanted to talk about animal spirits. So I'm going to go ahead. We don't have his border thing up here. Let me find it where he does his wishing machine deal. Oh, here it is. Banners. I'm going to run that at the bottom of the screen there. The Wish Doctor's wishing machines now on sale. www.thewishdoctor.com. Dr. Kelsey has those for sale. Let me throw a picture of one up here. And he swears by this, and so do his customers, that you can make a wish on that thing and it just might come true. So if you want to try the wishing machine, go to the Wish Doctor, thewishdr.com. So as you can see scrolling below there. And also datingthedead.com, where his book, Dating the Dead and Spectrophilia, that's a very interesting book where he talks about relationships people have had with the supernatural. And I mean like love relationships. You've got a woman who swears she had sex with Bigfoot. There's a man who's in love with his car, literally, physically in love with his car. There's, I think he said a woman that wanted to marry a bridge. And there are multiple people who have married ghosts. One of them wanted to marry the ghost of Freddie Mercury, and I think she believes she did. So there's some interesting stories there. So be sure to check that out. And my website, myhauntedDolls.com. be sure to go there. I've got all of my books out there, and I've got some merchandise like this really cool hat that I've got on my head right there with the website, myhauntedDolls.com. You can buy your hat out there. One size fits all. It's got an adjustment back there. And my books are out there. My most recent book about my haunted items there, My Haunted Collection, The Dark Side. We've got supernatural novels like Crimson the Blood Painting. So I like writing supernatural fiction. In fact, my latest book, Dark Awakening and Other Tales for a Midnight Hour, is a collection of my original short horror stories. So be sure to check that out. And so that's it. I don't see Kelsey back with us. I think he was going to talk about animal spirits. And Miss Catherine is still on mute, so I don't know if she wanted to. Oh, she's on the phone. Okay. She's flashed her phone up there 100 times, and I'm going, hey, what you doing up there? So she is on a call right now. So let me go ahead and say a little something about animal spirits. Animal spirits, a term coined by the famous British economist John Maynard Keynes to describe how people arrive at financial decisions, including buying and selling securities in times of economic stress or uncertainty. I don't know if that's the kind of animal spirit he was going to talk about, but it's like a lot of this has to do with the economy. Let's see here. I think he was wanting to talk about more like spirit animals, like people believe that everyone has a spirit animal. Everyone, in fact, I'll read this little thing here I just pulled up. Everyone's talking about kindred spirits these days. A belief rooted in many cultures is now an internet phenomenon that's caught the attention of celebrities like Oprah.
Phenomenon. Kevin, I think you kind of like went dead there for a second.
I did?
Yeah. You like froze for a second there.
Oh, how long was I frozen?
It was just for a split second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that just a second ago I saw a little freeze there. So is Kelsey okay?
Yeah, I think he's just exhausted.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what he was going to say on animal spirits.
Well, I was going to tell you a story. There's a girl on TikTok who has 4 vultures that are staying outside of her house, and they are following her around her house. Like, she's got a skylight in her bedroom, and they're following her around to every window in her bedroom. They're looking in and stuff, and she started being freaked out at first, and we started talking to her about the fact that the vultures are protecting her from something.
Yeah.
Do you have a spirit animal?
I've never really thought about it. I was just reading here where it says everyone's talking about kindred spirits these days. A belief rooted in many cultures is now an internet phenomenon that's caught the attention of celebrities like Oprah. So what's your kindred spirit? Are you driven by passion, security? What creature represents your inner personality? Maybe you are swift and clever like a rabbit, or perhaps you spend most of your time chilling like a sloth. While everyone is unique, we all have similarities that group us into certain personality types. Knowing your kindred spirit can help you spot weaknesses in yourself you might be unaware of. Your kindred spirit can serve as a source of inspiration, or at the very least, it could help you decide your next tattoo. And they've got a quiz out here. But animal spirits, when I think animal spirits, I think ghosts of animals, because I have had my experiences with animal ghosts. And like you were just talking about, oftentimes animals, I believe, appear as a sign of something.
I agree with you.
Of course, when my cat appears, it's always a sign of one, she wants some kind of food, or two, she wants to get in my lap. So,
Funny thing is, at my house, I have 4 dogs, and I can't tell you how many neighborhood cats that have adopted us. But everybody will get their own. Everybody has their own dog,
yeah.
but they are nobody else's dogs but mine.
Oh,
The cats, same way. They're nobody else's cats, except for 1 or 2 are Elizabeth's, but they're mine. And
yeah.
I don't even like them. I never liked cats. And then and then Spirit came along. You remember? If everybody does everybody remember Spirit Kitty?
Yes.
When she came along, I started somewhat liking cats, but I like her because she'll kill anything around. We live in the woods and there's a big like field behind us, so occasionally we'll get them little bitty cute little teeny mice. They're so cute, and then she'll take care of them.
Yeah.
Like if it's raining too much or it's too cold, they'll come in. But she always takes care of them, and she'll take care of snakes too.
Oh, wow.
As long as she doesn't bring a snake into my house.
Oh, I do not want a snake in my house.
I don't mind them outside, but I do not like them
way outside. Somebody put a TikTok out there that freaked me out. I saw it last night. I like to watch funny TikTok things on YouTube. And one of them, it said, woke up in the middle of the night to a noise, and she turns on, or he, I guess, but it could be a he. But they turned the light on in the kitchen, and you see the dog standing down there looking with these big eyes at the cabinet below the counter, and they aimed the camera at the cabinet just in time that you see these 2 snake tails slithering up into the cabinet door. Now, if I saw that, I think I would freak out and run out of the house. And I don't know if I can get animal control out here in the middle of the night, but somebody's going to get out here and kill those snakes. I hate snakes.
I don't mind them being outside, because they are
far away. Yeah.
They're meant to be outside.
Yeah.
I do have a problem when they come in the house, and that's where I want to tell the story of what happened the other day.
Oh, okay.
I go to use the restroom, and Kelsey's asleep in his room, and the door's closed, and I go to the restroom, and I get done and wash my hands and come out, and there is something laying in the floor, and I was like, what did I drop? Didn't know what it could be, and thought, oh, maybe it's a piece of rope because that came off something we had magnet fished, and it just got stuck to my shoe or something. I didn't realize it. I didn't have my glasses on, and I looked down, and it's a snake. And I thought, oh, Kelsey, you're an idiot. While I was in the bathroom, he woke up, snuck a snake, and laid it on the ground, and ran back in his room and closed the door and acted like he was asleep. No, I got to pick the snake up. It's a real daggum snake. So I have nothing. I'm in the bathroom. There's nothing in the bathroom for me to use to get rid of the snake and get it out of the house. And I'm not picking it up with my bare hands because I did not have it confirmed what kind of snake it was. I don't mind a non-venomous, but I don't want to get bitten by a snake either. They hurt. So I start screaming for him because I need him to go get me a broom and a dustpan or something. And I yell at him, and he eventually hears me and comes running in there. What's going on? I said, there's a snake, and now it's in my bedroom. So I empty everything out of the closet that I possibly can, all off the floor, and I find the snake, and I have to go get. I'm still waiting on him to bring me the something. I think he was bringing me a 5-gallon bucket, and I saw the snake, and it ran, and I couldn't see where it went to in the back of the closet because it's dark too, and there's stuff in the back of the closet. So he brings me a stick with a hook on the end of it, and I start removing the shoes out of the closet, and I can't find the snake anywhere. I was like, I know it's in here. It hasn't gone anywhere. So I couldn't find it anywhere. So I start taking the clothes down, shaking them off in the floor in the closet because I don't want a snake climbing up the clothes and jumping out on me. So I emptied out the entire closet. And I come back in here in the living room and I sit down for a minute because I need to get my stuff ready to my courage ready to go back in there to find the snake because I can't find the snake and it's in my bedroom. I'm going to emphasize this. It's in my bedroom. Okay. So I start going through the shoes that I pulled out of the closet and I picked up one of the boots and this snake comes jumping out of that boot and it lands on it's one of those dustpans that, you sweep the stuff up and you pick it up and it closes, right? Well, it ran on the back side instead of the front side. And I'm trying to, hold it down with between the dustpan and the handle. And that didn't happen. The darn thing slithered on through and it went underneath the dresser and went behind the dresser. And I have a box in the corner and it was hiding back there. And I knew it was back there for a while. So I come back and I sit down because I done had a heart attack 2 or 3 times over a snake being in my bedroom and crawling and jumping out of that boot. So I put I take a little bit later, I go back in there and I lay that boot back down on the ground. And I'm determined I'm going to chase the snake into that boot. And I finally do. It goes into the boot and I pick the boot up and I put it into a 5-gallon bucket and put the lid on and I set it outside because I have a friend coming, Carl, if you're watching, coming to get it for me. Well, I did not put the lid on it tight enough, okay? And I didn't think the snake could get out of it because the lid was on it, but it wasn't on there tight enough. And Kelsey wanted to do a video on the snake. So I bring the snake back in the house. I close the lid really good. It's inside the 5-gallon bucket, inside the boot, I hope. Well, we go and we're gonna get the snake out of the 5-gallon bucket later that night when Carl gets here, and we can't find the snake. The snake is actually inside the boot, up in the toe, curled up. I think it was about 3 foot long, 2.5 to 3 foot long. It was big enough for me to be scared of it. But Carl took it to let it loose, and he's like, "I think it's in there." I said, "I think it's in there too." And I said, "I know it's not in the house, and I know I saw it go into the boot. I was not hallucinating." Kelsey thought I was hallucinating at first because there was a snake in the house. I'm like, "I'm not doing drugs. I'm not hallucinating." So he wound up Carl wound up putting it in a clear plastic box, and the snake eventually climbed out of the boot. So we knew it was caught. And there is a picture of it somewhere. I think it's on TikTok. But I am not only known as the Lady Magnet Fisher now, I am now known as the Lady Snake Angler.
Oh, Lord. Well, looks like Emma was chatting on here. I missed a bunch of her comments here. She asked a question earlier, but she says, "I have wolves outside my house at night, and my pets hate my room." I imagine they do. They probably sense those wolves there. But she says, "My spirit animal is a wolf, and it is such a coincidence." And she agrees with us. She says, "I'd be freaking out over a snake." I don't know. See, I've never really studied up on ghosts, on animal spirits. Although I was going to talk about, and I've talked about it before on here, but I'll say it again, that I do have a ghost cat here. I'm trying to pull up the picture. I thought I had it still saved on here when I shared it on the website before. I mean the show before, but it's not showing up here because I'm a dingleberry. You think I would have saved it on my desktop or something, but I do have a ghost cat, and I noticed it. Probably, here we go. Here are the pictures. I'm just going to share the screen here, but I'll tell the story first. After I started collecting haunted dolls, and I had several by then in my old house in Westover, I'd also, when I moved in, adopted my cat, Maddie, who was a rescue cat. And a few years into living in the house, I start noticing something. Twice I was standing in a room, like the first time I was in the kitchen at the stove about to fix something to eat, and it was in the middle of the day, broad daylight. So I guess I was fixing lunch, and I feel the cat run against my ankle, slide, rub against my ankle, like cats do to their owners. And of course, common sense tells me it's Maddie. So I look down, and there's nothing there. So I thought, well, she must have bolted. So I go and I look, and I find her all the way in the front of the house, laying on the windowsill asleep in the front room. So it was not her. Then it happened again when I was in the doll room I had at that house. I was standing in there and I felt a cat rub against my leg again. I looked down, nothing there. I go looking for Maddie. She's in my bedroom, curled up on the bed. So it was not her again. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I've got a ghost cat here that's either attached with one of these little spirits, these dolls, or maybe it's a cat that used to live here in this neighborhood, because we had a few cats had died in the neighborhood a few months before that. So one night I was doing an EVP session, probably around midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning in the house there. And after the session, I started taking pictures, and I noticed my cat was curled up in the recliner asleep. I noticed the strange anomaly below her, which I'll go ahead and share because I've got all the pictures together here on my Facebook page, My Haunted Dolls. Come on now. Share the screen. There we go. All right. So right here, here's the original picture. I'll go ahead and blow it up. Now my cat is curled up here in the recliner. This is a reflection of the flash from my camera, and that I don't know. That could be a little spirit over there. I didn't notice that till later, but right here, laying right below my cat on the floor in front of the recliner, is a wispy little shape that looks exactly like a cat. And I zoomed in on it when I downloaded it to my computer. It looks like a cat's ears, and the little front paws are stretched out, and the body. And there I've outlined it in that picture so you can see what I'm looking at. I mean, that looks like, here, I'll click back and forth here. There's the original. There's the outline. Original, outline. It looks like a ghost cat laying down there below my cat. I mean, that is amazing to me. And again, that down there is just the light from my flash reflecting off that shiny hardwood floor that I had at that house. But that was just amazing. And I wondered when I moved here, did the little kitty cat follow me here? By the way, I named the ghost cat Shadow. So if
That's a perfect name for it.
I felt a few times, I felt like a cat. When my cat jumps up on the sofa next to me, it makes this little jostle feeling next to me. Well, I felt that next to me when Maddie was not anywhere near, and I think it's Shadow jumping on the sofa with me. And that has happened here at this new house since we moved here. I felt a cat not only jump up on the sofa next to me when my Maddie is not anywhere nearby, but I felt it behind me on the sofa. I felt something rub against my back of my neck, like a cat walking across the back of the sofa behind me. And it was not Maddie. She was off in another room. But what's also neat is the night I did that live EVP on my YouTube channel, My Haunted Dolls, of the haunted mannequin from the Travel Channel that after it arrived here. Mm-hmm. And you remember I had the camera set up and I went to my bedroom. Everybody was asleep, and I went to my bedroom, shut the door so it'd be completely quiet in here in the doll room where the mannequin baby was. And I captured the sound of a little dog yipping. Remember that?
I do remember that.
Like that. And what's spooky now, that could have been something attached to one of the dolls. Maybe one of my little spirit children has their pet with them. But I keep thinking about the prior owners who lived here told me they had two little dogs that they kept here in this, what we use as the office room now. They had a little pen in here, and this is right next to the den/doll room where I was filming. And both of those little dogs passed away in this house due to old age. So I wonder if it's not those dogs, their spirits barking on that video.
It could be.
But if it's not, it's definitely probably attached. Either it was passing through, but I think it was probably attached with one of my little spirits in here with the dolls. Emma says, that's cool. It's rare to find spirited animals.
I have a rabbit, Emma. Had a rabbit for 13 years, and her name was Peter Rabbit. Her name was Peter Rabbit. And we got her when she was probably barely old enough to. Alrighty, Kevin. Barely old enough to be weaned from her mother. Somebody brought her to me, and I took her in, and I loved that rabbit. That rabbit was free range rabbit in my house. I only put her up when I was gone and couldn't watch her because she would chew cords occasionally, and it would make me angry, and I'd be scared that she would die and, electrocute herself or burn my house down. So she had a litter box. She was litter box trained, and she would come and jump up on my bed and lay with me. She was very tamed and spoiled rotten. And she will come up there when I'm home, and in my bed, I'll be laying there just about asleep, and Peter Rabbit will jump up on my bed, and she'll come curl up with me, like she's still alive. She was the best rabbit ever. Best rabbit ever. I could call her, and she knew her name. She'd come right to me. I loved my rabbit. Best pet ever. Especially since she was litter box trained. Dogs, you got to walk them. Cats, they're okay because they kind of do their own little thing, but they're demanding, and they like to be very demanding. But my mother also has a spirit animal. She has a couple of them that were her pets in the past that still jump up on her bed to this day too. So, I'm not sure if that just kind of runs in the family or what.
I guess Dr. Kelsey went to sleep.
He did. I don't think he's feeling real well.
Okay.
I think he's just, this heat's kind of getting to everyone, I think.
Yeah.
It got to me the other day really bad. We spent about 15 minutes here and there. My health is not the 100%, and the heat doesn't help me either. But we've been spending a few minutes here and there doing some magnet fishing.
Yeah, I watched the videos of that.
He threw me in the water.
Yeah. I saw that.
It really did feel good to go. I haven't been swimming in years. And it really did feel good to kind of just, even though it was dirty lake water, it did feel good to kind of float for a minute, kind of release some of that pain off of some of the joints. I might have to do that a little more often.
I haven't swum. I've started saying it's been a while, but it hasn't been that long. It was 2018. We went to, before the pandemic, we went to, or was it 2019? It was 2019. We went to Destin. So yeah, there I got in the water, but so it's been 3 years, maybe 4 since I've been in the water. It's probably been 5 or 6 for me. I'm not. I may have gone once. I take that back. I did go to the lake one time, and I think I might have gotten my feet wet. But I like the water, but I don't like dirty water. No, that's why I went at the beach at Destin. I went in the ocean, but I would not go in the pool because it looked dirty. And I'd rather go out in the ocean with the fish pee than in a pool that's got I don't know what on the bottom. Finally, it was before my mom. Let's see, that wasn't in Destin. I take that back. Destin, they had a pool, but we just went in the we went in the pool one time. But we stayed in the ocean. But 2015, it was Gulf Shores at the condo we stayed at. It had a kind of a dirty pool, so we wouldn't get in it. We just got in the ocean. And finally, my mom was still alive then. She was with us, her last trip with us somewhere, and she called management, and they finally sent somebody out there to clean the pool. Like,
Oh my goodness.
we're paying $3,000 a week here, and y'all can't clean up soda cans out of the pool.
I don't blame her.
Uh-uh.
I do not blame her, not one bit.
That was a nice condo, but they just the pool needed a good cleaning. It was fancy looking pool, but when you got gunk and trash in the bottom, no.
And I better not hear not one person laugh at my white legs, because I have not worn shorts and in probably, out in public or outside of the house in probably 15 years.
Well, I don't have to worry now because it didn't take long Friday afternoon sitting out in that sun at the drive-in. Because not only we got the sun, but here's hot asphalt right behind. Like I said, I was lathering up that sunscreen before I left the hotel, and every hour and a half, I'd put more on. But I turned red out there. It finally lightened up today. You still see some red in my face, but the Native American is coming out in me.
I was gonna say I have an allergy to the sun, where if I get exposure too much, I break out in hives and stuff. So I have to be very careful. And I also have had a couple of skin cancers, so I'm always kind of careful and don't stay out too much, because I don't want to take the chance of it becoming a constant thing. But I have to keep my ears protected. So a lot of times you'll see me wearing a hat outside, a big wide brimmed hat, just to be safe.
Yeah,
on me.
My sister had a sun allergy one time. It only happened once, and she used to lay out all the time in the sun as a teenager, and nothing ever happened. But in her late teens, we went to the beach, and she was out for a while, though, out there, maybe 3 or 4 hours. And her face started swelling. It swelled up. She like something off of Star Trek. And we had to take her to the hospital, and thankfully it lasted about almost 48 hours and started going back down, and she went back to normal. But that is scary. And she was bawling. I mean, I would be too, looking in the mirror and seeing your face looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. Just the skin was swollen. But it's never happened again. But she doesn't go out for hours in the sun.
Yeah, we have people like us have to limit it. And here's the strange thing is, I've got a lot of Native American in myself, or indigenous in my blood, running through my veins. And I also have white people blood, So I actually, when I was younger, was much more dark complected than I am now. I was very, very dark when I was young, and I have lightened up over the years.
I used to get dark during the summertime, but I spent more time in the sun when I was younger than I do now. Especially since I had one little skin cancer on my nose about 10 years ago, or a little longer than that. And since then, it was always stay out of the sun as much as you can since you've had skin cancer, and wear that sunscreen. So I just don't go out in it a lot. And then my vitamin D number started dropping, so I had to start taking vitamin D that my doctor told me start taking.
Yeah. And this heat dehydrates you, because we've had a hot summer this year, like a consistently hot summer.
Friday afternoon, you would have been proud. Friday afternoon, I bought off Amazon one of these weatherproof bags you can take to the beach or pool or whatever. I bought one last week, and I took water bottles in it to the drive-in. I was drinking water because it was hot. And then when it got dark, that's when I went to the concession and got a soda, because I like to have a sugar-free Coke here and there, especially if I'm watching a movie.
Yeah, I understand. We've been buying cases of Gatorade to make sure that I'm staying hydrated because I got dehydrated a few weeks ago and it was rough. And I still have not got 100% back, but getting there. But I promise you guys, I'm not going to die. If I do, I'm coming back to haunt every one of you. But I'm just going to be I'm going to be a funny ghost.
Yeah, I'd probably be a little bit of a prankster, but I just hope I make it to heaven. But what was I going to say?
I want to stay here and torture these people here. Oh, have you seen the new space shuttle, space telescope pictures?
I don't think I've looked at them yet. Somebody was talking about that.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
On TV, they were not on TV, but on YouTube, they were talking about that this morning. Maybe that was what I saw because they were showing clip. Was it something that looked like starbursts? Or
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it this morning on YouTube. It was running on there. These two NASA ladies were talking, and they were showing it.
To see something that's 13.5 billion years old, and it was just so cool to watch and look at. I've always found space kind of interesting. I love to fly. But anyway, let's get back to spirit animals. Emily, you said you love rabbits. Do you have a spirit animal?
Yeah, she had commented that her spirit animal is a wolf. There it is.
Ah.
And she asked a question earlier when I was showing that video. I couldn't see comments because I had to keep my screen on the video.
Let me go up here and see if I can find it.
Well, I know what the question was. She asked if I had met Taps, which we have Taps in Memphis that I've worked with, but the Taps guys on TV, I have met them when they came to Dragon Con in Atlanta. So to answer your question, I have met them, but they weren't at this convention this weekend. But yeah, she said hers is a wolf. I never really studied up on it. I have no idea what mine is or how to find out. What is it supposed to have to do with your personality or something?
I'm not sure.
Looking something up earlier before we got sidetracked. There was a quiz you can take out there, but I don't want to go. Oh, there's different spectral animals they've got out here. Gosh, I didn't know there were different kinds. They've got, let's see, spectral paranormal researcher Joshua Warren finds that there are two main categories of spectral animals. There's ghost animals and ghostly animals. Ghost animals further break down into an entity ghost and imprint ghosts, while ghostly animals break down into elemental ghosts and harbinger ghosts. So an entity ghost animal is an interactive, unpredictable, self-aware apparition of an animal. An example would be a beloved pet that comes back after death to nudge you on the leg or interact in some way. So I guess my shadow, even though I never had a cat before, Maddie, but my shadow would be a entity ghost since it rubbed my leg. Oh, and that reminds me of the other story I've told before about when I stayed at Marshall House in Savannah.
Yes.
And I was sitting the day I got there. What was that? A 4 hour or 4.5 hour drive? It took me to get to Savannah. So I got there a little late in the day. Check-in wasn't until 3 or 4, and there was no early check-in available. So I said, I'll just take my time getting there. And I did get there and went and ate something, came back, and I was going to go on the ghost walk tour that started a few blocks behind the hotel. And I thought that'd be better than doing the bus or van. Of course, they got the hearse tour that I've been interested in, but I wanted to be walking, just to walk and see and touch the places, And but I was sitting. It was about 6 p.m. I remember looking at the clock because the tour was going to start at 7. I said I got an hour, so I sat there reading some of the Savannah books they had there, guide books to show you what attractions are there. And I feel a cat run up against my leg. And at first I don't buzz because my first thought is Maddie. But then split second it took me to go, I'm not at home. That's not Maddie. So I looked down and there's nothing there, but I grabbed my camera and start snapping pictures. Of course, nothing showed up. But I had read there were ghosts in that hotel. There are a couple of child spirits that like to play ball in the hallway. You hear a ball bouncing and children laughing when there's no ball or children around. And one guest, a YouTuber, actually caught that on video, the sound of a child playing with a ball in the hallway, and you can see there's nothing there. It's pretty cool. But there's also a armless, the specter of an armless Civil War soldier. Well, he's missing one arm, walking down that top floor where I was staying, walking down the hallway, asking people if they've seen his arm. And one of the little child spirits likes to go in the rooms and tickle people's feet while they're sleeping. So I didn't get my foot tickled or anything, but I did get the ghost cat rubbed against my leg, and I'd never heard of a ghost cat there. Well, I go on the walking tour, and one of the stories she tells is about Savannah's ghost cat. It doesn't just it doesn't just haunt one place. Start saying haunt one place. I don't know why I was saying that, but it doesn't just haunt one place. It haunts the whole area there. The city block, people have seen a cat, transparent cat go across the street and vanish. They've seen it in different buildings. The creepiest encounter was there's an old house that's now a museum about 4 or 5 blocks from the hotel, where a little girl spirit resides, a little girl who was the daughter of the original owner, and a lot of kids died from illnesses back then. So I think did I freeze?
You did for just a second.
Yeah, I saw the little wheel of death come up and start going. I guess my internet was messing up.
When I was a kid, I grew up in a little town called Westover, Alabama. It was not a town then. And we lived by a creek. And the creek would overflow a lot. And we would play in it. And we still have the house. But we had an owl that would sit on the power lines right above my house. And it did this every single day. And it would hoo at us, and we would hoo back at us like it was talking. We'd leave it a little food here and there. Nothing big, just some bird seed or whatever. I didn't know what owls ate when I was a kid, and that owl stayed with us for years and years and years and years. And he wound up being, he or she, I can't remember what it was. I had to ask Mom. She has that great memory. It got hit by a car, and it lived and survived. We took it over to Oak Mountain, and they took care of it and brought it home about 6-8 weeks later and released it again, and it stayed there forever and ever. And the reason I'm wanting to tell you about the owl and why I think the owl is my spirit animal is I love owls. I always have loved owls. And when we went to Old Cahaba, Kelsey and I were walking around the slave quarters, and an owl flew out and dropped its wing, and I grabbed it. A second owl flew out again later, and it didn't drop any feathers. It dropped poop, and I was so afraid it was going to hit one of us, but it didn't, thank goodness. But I feel like the owls are kind of my little spirit animal that would be my guide.
Yeah. Well, I was going before I froze and the wheel of death came up on my end. I was about to tell the creepiest story about that ghost cat in Savannah.
Okay.
Which I did mention to the lady that was doing the tour. When she mentioned that, she said it had also been seen at the Marshall House, and I put up my hand. I said, "Yeah, that must be the cat that rubbed against my leg in my room an hour ago before I came on this tour." She said, "Yeah." I said, "I felt it, but I didn't see anything down there, and there's not supposed to be pets in the building." But the creepiest story they have, I started to tell about the little girl ghost in the house that's 5 blocks from the hotel. I can't remember the name of the house, but a little girl spirit's been seen there, and sometimes she's seen holding that cat. But the creepiest story was this couple that was walking down the street, taking a nighttime stroll, looking at everything a couple of years ago, and they saw this cat go run across the street, and it ran toward the house. They thought it was just a stray or somebody's pet, but they were talking, but they were both watching the cat, and it ran to the house and went through the brick wall of the house. And they both stopped and they looked at each other and looked back and said, "You see?" The lady said to her husband, "Do you see that?" And he said, "Yeah." And they looked over at the window because they saw movement. And there in the window, it was that house the little girl haunts. There in the window downstairs was the little girl standing there looking out at them, holding the cat and petting it. It was in her arms. And of course, they made a hasty retreat and told somebody. They went back to the house the next day and told them, for some reason, the people that run that house now don't like to be known as haunted, which is strange because you can buy, and I've got one, a stuffed ghost cat, a stuffed animal doll in their gift shop, but they don't like to talk about the ghosts. So that's kind of strange. But we had in my neighborhood, I don't think it was, I got a funny feeling it wasn't true. It was a tall tale, but we had a devil dog story in our neighborhood. You've heard of devil dogs, right?
I have heard of devil dogs.
I forgot to finish reading that article about the different types of, let's see, I talked about entity ghost animals. There's an imprint ghost animal, is a non-interactive and appears to have no immediate awareness of its environment. An example would be horses drawing a ghostly stagecoach along a set path. Both the inanimate coach and the horses appear as visions, like a movie being replayed on the loop. An elemental ghostly animal is one that may have never occupied a physical body. An example of these would be the hellhounds, which is also what here in the U.S. they call them devil dogs, and bargettes of the UK. They are perceived as demonic, ominous creatures from some netherworld. Often elementals resemble regular animals in the physical realm but look a little different. Hellhounds are frequently described as having red, glowing eyes and are much larger than known living dogs. Such slight variations in their appearance are common earmarks of an elemental beast. And then lastly, the harbinger ghostly animals are physical animals in our real world, but they carry with them spiritual energy. Such creatures might have been specifically charged with paranormal energy, such as a witch's familiar. These animals have special powers and can foretell the future. These messengers are most often seen as harbingers of death. Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing harbinger right. It might be harbinger. I don't know. But I wanted to read the rest of that because the elemental ghostly animal mentions hellhounds. And we had a story that was around our neighborhood, and I don't know if it was a tall tale. The neighborhood I grew up in had some Native American history. In fact, we would find arrowheads and broken pottery out there in the dirt in the woods. And they said it was Cherokee land at one time, hundreds of years ago, which is neat because I do have a Cherokee background. My great was supposed to be a full-blooded Cherokee who married a Welsh man who would be my great-great-grandpa, I guess, who came from Wales. And so I've got a lot of British and a little bit of Native American in me. Welsh, to be exact, as far as the British part goes. But so that was neat to know that we had Cherokee ancestry and we're living on Cherokee Indian ground there. But then, of course, with that came a lot of spooky stuff because we did have some eerie goings on in my house and in the whole neighborhood. Everybody had something going on in their house, like footsteps and shadows and things like that. But one of the many stories in that neighborhood, and I wrote about it in my book, The Legends of Indian Narrows, which is the stories of my childhood haunted neighborhood and house. But there was a story of a hellhound, or what I call a devil dog, or hellhound, as they call it in the UK, that goes back to that Native American history. Supposedly, the story I heard was that this, I guess they had like most tribes, they had arranged marriages between the young maidens and men. And there was this particular beautiful maiden in the tribe that lived there that did not want the man that she was that her family and that man's family wanted them to get married. She didn't. She fell in love with another young native boy who I think was from another tribe. And one night they snuck off together, her and the boy she actually loved, down to Village Creek, which there is a Village Creek near that neighborhood. And her betrothed, her unwanted betrothed, followed her. And when he spotted them in each other's arms, he took his bow and arrow and made sure he had a good clean shot, because when he let it off, the arrow went through her back into her loved one's stomach and killed them both in one shot. Now, this betrothed guy, his dad happened to be the medicine man. So punishment back then was I guess they sacrificed you. Like, I can't remember I researched that, but it was like a sacrifice or something they did. They killed you. And that's what they're going to do to this young man. Well, the medicine man wasn't going to have it, but they weren't listening to him. And so he cast a spell after his son's death and brought back his son's spirit in the form of a devil dog. And that devil dog did attack and kill several people in that tribe, according to legend, including the parents of that girl and that dead boy. So people claim that he was not able to send it back. The spirit of that dog was still roaming the area. And I found that out after my sister talked about it one night. She was in the backyard late at night. She came home from one of the neighbor girls. Well, it wasn't late. It was just the sun had already gone down. She was coming back home for the evening. And we had a little dog named Terry, little black terrier that we called Terry, that stayed out there in our playhouse. So she thought she heard little paws on the ground and thought it was Terry. Then she heard a low growl. And she said, Terry, and turned around and looked, and she swears that she saw these two red flaming balls that looked like eyes staring at her from the edge of the woods behind our house. So she beat feet to the back door and blasted through there. Of course, my parents said, just some wild animal. There's probably light reflecting in its eyes, but she said it was like red flames, like that description I gave a minute ago of the hellhounds. Where did it say? Hellhounds are frequently described as having red, glowing eyes and are much larger than known living dogs. She said the way these eyes were, this thing had a big head. It was like big eyes. So when we talked about that, somebody mentioned the hellhound legend about the Indian man's spirit being brought back as a hellhound as a curse against the tribe. There's no evidence of that. But that's pretty cool that happened. And plus, there was a tale of some maintenance, was an electrician or somebody was working on a phone pole down at the main road where the woods are on either side of the road. And he swore up and down that he was trying to come down the pole after finishing working. And this large black dog with red eyes was down there staring at him and growling. And he was like, I'm trapped. I ain't going down there. And he started hollering, I think, or looked to see if any cars were coming. He looked back down and the dog was gone. So, the hellhound of Adamsville, Alabama.
Now, Emily, the reason people live on Native American grounds is because America is all Native American grounds.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, it's hard not to,
It's
especially today.
and as people die off and stuff, we have to have places to live, and we have to have the property to put houses for people to live in, and it's going to continue, and it'll get worse as the years go on. But we're Creek Indian, and so we're enemies, Kevin.
Oh no.
No, that's where I get my temper from, I think. But anyway, and probably a lot from my dad's side. I think they're German. I can't remember, but my mom's side's the indigenous, and then where they died like battle. Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you where my grandfather was Creek Indian, and he grew up and lived in Cahaba Heights, and his family's all from Cahaba Heights, Mountain Brook, though what's known as those areas now. And our family graveyard is actually on the side of the hill where Liberty Park is, the Liberty statue is, Statue of Liberty, and the Boy Scout camp.
I work near that, or my office is there.
Yep. And
Liberty Park. And
that's where if you walk out to the Statue of Liberty and you walk out toward the interstate and you look down the hill, you'll see the headstones, which they're mainly rocks because we're talking several generations back.
It's right next to 459 interstate.
Yep. Yep. And that's where my ancestors are buried, and the whole place was actually where they were buried, and they had to move some of the graves because of the Boy Scout place. But it's haunted. Trust me, it's haunted. We had witches in our family. I mean, like my great grandmother was. My cousin swears she was a witch. I don't know. I thought she was the sweetest old lady ever, but
yeah, and there's that was mentioned in this thing. You know, witches. It's neat you brought that up because it mentioned here they have their own animal spirits. They call them familiars. Which, if you ever watched Sabrina the Teenage Witch, she had her cat. What was his name? I can't remember, but he was her familiar. And
I keep wanting to say Sebastian, but that's not it.
Yeah, I almost said something with an S.
Salem. That's
Salem. It. Well, here we go. But I guess those were their animal spirit guide. That
I have been to Dead Children's Playground, Emily. We went a few years back and actually got a picture of or a video. It's on my TikTok account for sure. I'll try to post it in Abnormal Alabama of the swings moving. We walked up on it and they were not moving to begin with, and then all of a sudden they start swinging back and forth. It is really kind of freaky.
Yeah, I've heard about that. A girl I know, one of our close friends' daughter, when she was a teenager, went out there at 2:00 in the morning and said she called me from there. I didn't hear the phone ring. She left a voicemail, but they were out there looking at it, and she said they didn't really see anything. See, Emily says, I've been there and I went on the path, and she didn't finish her comment. Here I am living in Alabama my whole life. I've still not actually been on the playground. I've been to Athens and Huntsville, but I've not been on the playground yet. Although I've heard for years about it. Oh, here she goes. A spirit pushed me over or something. Something pushed her over. Uh-oh.
Oh no, you got to be careful. Got to protect yourself if you go places like that. Always best to do that. Before you go, while you're there, and when you leave. Make sure they don't come home with you.
Should a spirit pushed me over or something did? Yeah, I haven't been pushed yet, but I felt something brush against me before, and the little fingers, I felt that before. And then the cat I've mentioned rubbing against my leg. I've not been pushed yet, but with my faith, I'm always praying heavily over. Every night I pray over this house and everything in it. everything on the property. And then when I go out on investigations, I got to where I would wear my crucifix because that's everybody has their own way. And for me, it's on the Christian side. I always look at the religious protection from God, and so far it's worked. And having Christ on my side, in fact, I've upgraded my crucifix from the little one around my neck to this big sucker here I bought up at the Paracon last October when I met Annabelle. That was pretty funny. I said, oh, because they had a whole booth of these. I said, oh, you're making sure people have protection before they go in and meet Annabelle, huh?
I actually found a cross in my yard today, and I meant to pick it up, but I was in such a big hurry. I don't know where it came from, but it's made with nails. It's about that. It's about that big. See, about that big. Yeah, that's about right. And I found it laid in my yard today, and I meant to pick it up, but I got so busy that I forgot about it. Was it names?
More comments. Emma says she went to a haunted church and got sick there, and there was a bad smell near the basement. And said, my friends thought I was a nose ovient, whatever that is, or a medium. I don't know what. Here's James Jones. Hello, James Jones. Said you need a gris. I'm not sure what that is. What is a gris?
What is a what?
A gris. He says you need a gris. I'm not sure what that is.
I'm not sure what that is, James. But that's actually Buck.
Buck? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that I called Brigg today because my phone messed up my text. Something's wrong with my phone. I don't know what it is. It's acting up big time. My dad texted me and that hadn't come through. I went through it this evening, but then it shows it went through this morning.
Yeah.
But
gris. Oh, an African or a Caribbean charm or amulet. The use of charms, especially in voodoo. So that's probably a protective thing. Yeah, and Emma said it's a charm or a voodoo charm. Yeah, I stick with my, because I come from the Christian faith. I stick with my crucifix. Yeah, he says Grigri is the. Oh, Grigri. I'm saying Chris.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, hey, at first I thought he said you need grits, like the eating grits. But
it'll make me hungry and want to go to Waffle House tonight.
They did have at the hotel this last weekend. They had buffet for breakfast, and they had some fantastic grits.
I'm not a big breakfast fan, and I definitely won't eat breakfast. But I'll eat it for lunch.
I usually drink a Slim Fast shake for breakfast, but yeah, when I'm away at the hotel, I can't pass up that buffet loaded down with eggs and grits and bacon and biscuits and all.
You can call us Emily. Or Emma, I'm sorry. Is it Emma or Emily? I can't remember. Anyway, you can call us. You can call us one night on the show if you want to. I'll shoot you the number. Or just message me on Abnormal Alabama and I'll shoot you the number and you can call into us one night.
Yeah.
Glad to have you.
So I can tell my stories.
Buck says they can be empowered with the power of the Christian saints.
Yep.
I always
Voodoo does have some Catholic in it, so it does have a bit of Christian background mixed in there with everything else. Catholic influence. That's the word I was looking for. Influence. So it has some Christian influence.
I think that all the religions have some. I think we all influence everybody. Everybody influences each other. Take a little of this, a little of that, and create your own whatever you believe.
We're down to the last minute, so we made it 2 hours. A whole lot. The Haitians pulled from everywhere. Yeah, there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that influence in there.
I mean, our Christianity is not the same as what it was 100 years ago.
No.
I mean, things have changed so much, and it's not that the words have changed. It's that people have changed and their interpretations of the words have changed.
Yeah.
And
It's
different
been-
sects have different interpretations and stuff.
There's a lot of different translations of the Bible, and even since
Mhm.
King James, and King James was a translation, that wasn't the original.
No.
And for the most part, I've looked at a lot of them together, and for the most part, they're similar, but then every once in a while you see a little something changed in there, so it's kind of scary. That's why he so eloquently said at the last chapter of Revelations, if any man changes any word of this, let him be held responsible. And you don't have to worry about it. He'll be held responsible.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to read that. Everybody needs to read.
So how can I call you next time?
Just message me on Facebook page, and I'll shoot you the number to call in next Tuesday night.
All right, we are down to the end, so it's been a good night. We went to 2 hours, and
We did do 2 hours tonight. It was a slow night. Kelsey wasn't here to aggravate us.
yeah, interrupt
Told his stories, but he I'm guessing he's just napping, so he'll be okay.
Napping. So I thank you all for tuning in and hearing my stories about the convention. Flash my picture up there again that I got from Joe Bob and Darcy. And we thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be back next Tuesday. I don't know what we're going to talk about. And yes, bye, Emma. Bye, everybody who's watching.
We got several people watching. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks for joining us.
Be back next week. Be sure to like and subscribe. Abnormal Alabama, myhauntedDolls.com.
Who knows? We may show a couple of the pictures of the telescope. I'm really fascinated with the telescope thing going on.
Talking about that.
Maybe we'll do something for outer space or something.
Yeah, because I thought earlier to have a cousin. That reminded me. I do have a cousin that works at NASA in Huntsville, so I can mention that too.
Yes,
so we'll see y'all then. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. We love y'all.